Welcome to Sunday Salon with I Write Out Loud. Hi, Linnea. Hi, Shayla. Hi, Kira. Hi, Karen. Kira knows when I'm podcasting. She knows how the tone shifts in my voice or something. And she responds. She's a pretty sleepy this morning, so her response is slower. But she is responding nonetheless. It is lovely to see you all today. And we have a heady topic. I think you all know that, just based on some of the conversations that we have had earlier this week. And there's the little nut waking up. Oh, Karen, I can't believe you're listening in class. I'm deeply honored. And also, if you need to pay attention in class, please pay attention in class. Hi, Lynette. I'm still so soft focused. I went live with my webcam yesterday. The webcam is problematic because it was showing me that it was the whole room. But then when I watched it, my head was like this big. So I'm trying it. I have a slightly different lighting setup. I watched some videos, and I'm actually wondering if the overhead lights are doing me a disservice. I might stand up in a moment and try turning them off and just to see if that makes a difference. But first, this show is sponsored by Nature Naws. Nobody sponsors the show, but Nature Naws are what keep things going around here and what keep Kira happy. So we're going to do this. Would you like that? Good dog. That was very gentle. Black is my color. Black is a shade. But yes, I do really like to wear black. And this dress is, it's just the Toad & Co. like travel dress. I have two of this, and I have it with sleeves on it too. And I used to have it in dark purple and in gray. And I think I Goodwill to them years ago, and I deeply regret it because they are kind of the perfect fitting dress. Those Nature Naws. See, I'm selling Nature Naws online. It's with a G, just so you don't miss it. They should absolutely be sponsoring this video. I would take it in free product. We go through a lot of them. I do seem to be in a hazy, foggy cloud, don't I, Mikey? Like, I'm in front of a window. I have a light source to my left and to my right, and the overhead lights are on. Let me try turning them off. Hold on. You're going to get a blank room for a moment. Admire my crazy little room here. And I've got my kindergarten teacher cardigan on today, as my kids would call it. Is that better? I'm still kind of hazy. Hi, Jason. I think it's the light hitting my glasses. If I didn't have glasses on, no, well, I look hazy now because I don't have glasses on. I can't quite figure it out. Yesterday, before we dive into the heady stuff, I was playing with Substack's new recording studio that they're all excited about. Y'all, it doesn't do very much from what I can see. You can put your logo on it, but when you change at least for me, when I changed the view from landscape to portrait, my little logo didn't show up. So that didn't help. And you can pre-record, but it's I don't know how many of you have gone live. I know you have, Jason, and you have, Karen, but it does the same thing as when you're going live, where it's like connecting live. And so I waited for the live, but it's recording the whole time. And so I was never quite, so you may have seen, I posted a couple of videos yesterday that were pre-recorded. And Karen, yeah, they have a new thing called Recording Studio. You know what? Maybe the simplest answer is this. Is that any better? I wonder if I just need to get a new iPhone. So the Recording Studio, I recorded myself making these short videos, and then I had to clip them in order to make a short, like a clip, and just upload the clip. First of all, because I didn't want it to be a full article page with a title. I just wanted it to be like a short. But it was a lot of work and back and forth. I'm not sure the cleaning helped. Okay, so maybe my camera was just mucky. I probably am going to need to get a new iPhone at some point. Anyways, play with the studio. I'm not sure I'm super impressed with it, but it is a way to pre-record and post things to Substack, and um, I want to start getting better with video and just posting shorts that Substack auto clips. I don't find that that does very much, certainly not on Instagram or Facebook Reels. And even within Substack, I don't think people respond to it very much. So I'm going to try doing some more, pro- produced shorts. I posted one yesterday. Actually, I posted two. But the second one was just about the show. But I feel like not many people are making use of short video that I see on Substack. So I'm going to try to as a way of micro storytelling. And in my mind, it's kind of like out loud. It's not I write out loud, it's me speaking out loud. So we'll see how that goes. All of that's to say, welcome to Sunday Salon. I am feeling a bit better. Still coughing a little, but much better than I was the last 2 weeks. Oh, hi, Laura. Thank you for all your concern about my health. I ended up not taking that second round of antibiotics that the doctor gave me at the same time she sent me for the chest x-ray, because last time I took penicillin, I got hives. It was years ago, but I don't feel like this is bacterial. Like, I'm feeling a lot better, and bronchitis is not ever bacterial from my internet search. So I have it in here if I don't continue to feel a bit better, but I am getting some energy back. Like, the hardest part wasn't just all the hacking, it was the lack of sleep, and then the fact that I was just like, I had no energy to do anything except, like, you know, I could sit and get through these, and I did do some writing, but whew, I got shit I need to do that involves me moving, so I'm hoping to do that. You're having lemon tea with honey. My tea today is my usual black tea, PG Tips with oat milk. No, sometimes I add vanilla collagen protein powder to it, but not today. Laura, I'm glad to hear you are getting better every day. I'm sorry to hear you're still struggling. That is a drag. This winter has been a bit brutal. Oh, who even knows what it is we're all getting with the CDC and the WHO and all of our usual tracking mechanisms just broken. It's a very big drag. But let's come back and talk about storytelling. I think this is enough. That was enough time for an intro. I probably, well, this one, it doesn't matter since it's for paid subscribers. But with my usual ones, I've been thinking how I wait 5 or 10 minutes to get started to give people a chance to join. But I probably lose a lot of people who join and they just hear me blah blah blahing. So maybe I need to get to the point quicker this week. I'm not sure. But I want to talk about 2 essays from this week about the same man, my father, and the 2 very different responses from my kids in these 2 essays. It's 2 different kids over 2 years apart, because the first essay was new. It was from the trip we just took, and the second essay was from 2 years ago. Um, but one refused to tolerate him, and the other chose to proceed with empathy. And watching both of them, especially the new one from my older daughter this week, um, and reconsidering them as I looked to this essay just made me rethink the ways in which I've always dealt with my dad and men like him, and on a broader context, the way women historically have been taught to manage men. So, um, that's where we're going today. I'm going to pause and say, Joe, I'm so happy for you. You took your first short walk today. That's wonderful. I'm really glad that you were able to do that. The ability to heal, right? I guess that's part of I write out loud, though I'm speaking more metaphorically, typically. But it is also literal. The body's ability to heal is a magical thing. So, um, I have some notes here. You can see I'm looking at them because I want to make sure I don't skip any parts. I'm also going to grab the 2 essays. Um, I would like to ask here if you guys have read essay 1 is when I oops, let me mute that. Um, when I say essay 1, I am referring to the one about making my daughter visit her misogynistic grandfather. When I say essay 2, I'm referring to the my gender fluid tween trying to explain their new pronouns to their grandfather. So how many of you, oh, I'm not in the chat yet. One moment, please. Let me join the chat here. Yeah. I know. You already had your goodie, honey. How many of you read 1 and how many of you read 2? Oh, Shayla, I see you read 1 and 2. Thank you. That makes me so happy. So here's essay 1. And then let me go grab essay 2. I know. You're very angry, Kira. It's a really hard thing to train a dog when you're like, she knows that I'm gonna just spoil her and give her another treat to keep her quiet. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh, read both? Read 1 and 2. Um, Kira wants round 2 on those knots. She really does. I'm gonna see how long I can put her off because we're only 15 minutes in. Got another 45. I can't give her 6. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. So, she needs a 4-legged sibling maybe. She has 2. She has 2 cats. They're just not very exciting. Sometimes is one of them, oh, can you see, is that Josie or is that just a hairball that looks like Josie? No, that's Josie. Do you see my cat right there? Can I zoom in? I don't think I can. No. But she's sitting where the velvet curtain is separating the rooms, right on the heat vent. She's a very old diabetic cat. She causes a lot of problems for me with her behaviors, but she's such a sweet cat. We love her, and it's hard. Okay, so I read both essays. You all are amazing. Thank you. I'm so humbled by it. So I would love to hear if y'all are willing to make this like a classroom situation. What were your high level impressions of the conflict in each essay? Like, what's the difference between number 1 and number 2? Whatever thoughts that you have, or not, it doesn't even have to be about the conflict. Just like what you took away from each essay would be really interesting to me. And Lynette says, "I'm with her on the heat vent." Yes. Karen says, "Dana, I read all your writing." Karen, thank you. That's so sweet. I paired these 2 together intentionally, obviously, and this week and then next week, I have an arc theme of parenting teens in the era of Epstein, and I'm just using his name as a shortcut for all of the scary misogynistic behaviors we're seeing in the broader culture, and also for the idea that my kids are coming of age and I am watching them as a concerned parent at a time when we are seeing abuse reported at scale in a way we never have before. And the consequences for, at least in this country, are 0. And what it means to be watching our girls turn into women in this era. Next week's essays will also be on that theme, but they will be different. These are about 2 I'm using my father as a foil for Epstein and his people. I do not think my father is as egregious as Epstein, to be clear, in any way, shape, or form, but he is a good proxy for storytelling. Karen says, I took away from it that it's hard to be a mom. Fair and true. Laura says, so much learned. Let's see here. Where do I find the articles? Oh, I just put them in the chat, but let me put them in again because I know folks are newly joining. So the first essay is, oops, that's the second one. The first essay is right here. If you go to Dana Dubois Writes, my .substack.com, they are the 2 essays at the top. I now have a bigger hero section because I wanted to make room for my schedule for the week, and there's no way to just have there be 2 things at the top. There had to be 4. So I'm not loving that. I might change it. But that's essay 1, TBD 2000. That's a cute name. And here comes essay 2, just so you have them to reference. If you all wish to restack or share them, I am forever grateful. No pressure. Here, Shayla says, both made me reflect on the messages I got from my parents about how to deal with conflict, violence, and avoidance. Wow, I'm assuming that one parent showed you violence and the other avoidance, Shayla, but we're definitely going to get into that. Um, let's see here. I think I learned that there is a balance between boundaries and forgiveness, if that makes sense. Oh, it absolutely does, Lynette. That's a huge theme running through a lot of my essays. I would say even boundaries, forgiveness, and complicity. Those might be the triad holding this up. Um, yes, Karen, please don't post anything from your phone. You're in class. Just, I'm grateful you're here at all. You're very sweet. Boy, the cough came back now that I'm talking, which is annoying. Oh, and also grace. Thank you, Lynette. I would say grace is also a common theme. So let me give a quick summary because I don't think TBD 2000 has read these yet, and I'm guessing maybe a couple other people haven't read both. Um, the first one is why these two essays belong together. They both have a central foil. That's my father. They're my children's grandfather. Um, he is someone who is a problematic figure my whole life. He is he has always been misogynistic and loud and angry and a bully, effectively verbally abusive, not physically, but verbally abusive. Now he has dementia. It has wildly changed his disposition, and it has removed most of the bullying and has left the vulnerable little boy behind. The bullying was always trying to protect. So he is obviously quite late in life, and my children have had a very limited to no relationship with him by design. We live 3,000 miles away. The visits were rare before he got dementia. He's also physically he's in a wheelchair. He's morbidly obese. He can't move on his own at all. He needs help getting up out of bed and into bed, the whole works. So in these essays, my children and I are visiting him. So they are seeing him directly. And we see a real generational shift in how I interact with him and how my children interact with him. And both are forcing me to see this generational shift in tolerance, even as they both have very different outcomes. Hang on, I see that there's a note here from TBD. Shoot, I get kicked off the site and I don't have access to more than a few messages. TBD 2000, if you just click through my name, Dana Dubois writes, and look at the first main section on my page. It's called I Write Out Loud. The first two essays are the two we're talking about. So that might be the easiest way to find it. So, so one story is about my daughter, my older daughter, refusing to accept what my generation endured. And the other is my younger child choosing empathy when they didn't have to. So there are two very different paths, and I want to be clear, neither path is wrong. The circumstances were very different, but it's important to point the distinctions out. So in brief, DBD, this should catch you up a bit. In the first essay, it's the recent trip I just took with my kids a few weeks ago to Florida. I went to visit my dad first by myself, and then our final day there, we went together. That's the one visit that my children will have with their grandfather this year, unless something strange happens. But that was it. It was about an hour and a half. My older daughter did not want to go and started protesting it the day before by being kind of pouty, insolent, as she does. It's what she does. So I was really trying to figure out why the change in behavior, and concluded and still very much conclude that it was, she didn't want to go. And so she was acting out a bit. And I said, no, you're coming. We're all going together. And in the past, we've all gone together as kind of a team where we eye roll together and we smirk together and we get through it together. None of us finds this fun, but it's just been a united front. But this visit was different. My father has never had really a way of relating to anyone, and he's just worse now that he has dementia. He doesn't have any social graces. But the only way in particular he's known how to relate to women and girls is to talk about how they look. And that comes up in both essays. The one from 2 years ago, he does the same thing. You two are so pretty. And on this particular visit, the recent one, he just perseverated on this. You're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. I kept specifically looking to my oldest and saying, you could be a model. And because he has no memory, he repeated this every minute or two. And here's my child just like shrinking behind her handbag, like trying to become invisible. And on the one hand, I'm very concerned as a mom watching her reaction and seeing how hard this is for her. And on the other hand, there was this voice saying, like, come on, we can put up with this for an hour. Him just telling you you're beautiful, like, get over it. The phrase that didn't make it in the essay, but that maybe should have because I think it was pretty good was like, I grew up with the ocean. You can handle a splash. It's an hour to give this man an act of kindness. This man who is deeply flawed, but has his good qualities. But I use, as I was watching, I come up to this idea of like, am I teaching them resilience or am I asking them to tolerate something they shouldn't? Because, yeah, it's just an old guy saying, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful. But the subtext there is, all I see is your looks and thinly veiled your sexuality. Because my girls are both, well, my eldest is a woman now. She's 18 and my younger one is almost 16. So they don't look like little babies anymore. So of course the thinly veiled sexuality is, I mean, it's not even that veiled. It's pretty overt. I did not say this on the main live, but here as I spill a little more tea, Kira, hey, hey, come here. Let me pull you a little bit closer. Stay a little closer. Come here, you. Do you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna just take Kira in the lap. So she quiets. There she is. So what I didn't say in the original live, but I will say here, is he made another comment and he sort of did it sheepishly, not as creepily as it could have been, but he was like, didn't want to say anything, but Nico, like she has a bosom now, which is not great. It's not great, right? It's not really what you want your grandfather to say. Nico laughed it off. And I was like, Dad, yeah, that's not an appropriate thing to say. I corrected him, but I didn't get angry with him because he is a sad, demented man. And he didn't say it in a leering way. He didn't say, nice tits or something gross like that. But it is gross to have your grandfather comment on that. I'm flashing back to the movie 16 Candles when the grandparents go, oh, she's gotten her boobies. And then they grab her boobs. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how Gen X grew up. So the Gen X survival method has been like, ignore it, manage it. And I, in the essay, use this language around weather. Dress for the weather. When you know you're going to be in a misogyny storm, you put on a coat, right? You dress for the weather. My children are saying maybe we move to a different climate. We don't tolerate this. We don't. So in this first essay, my older daughter especially was showing me that. So that was kind of a long summary. Let me summarize more quickly. For story 2, this was a couple years earlier. Hi. Also on a visit. Hi, you're so beautiful. Also on a visit to the nursing home to see my dad. My daughter was then just my child, not my daughter, because they were going through a gender journey, and they were gender fluid and using a different name and pronouns. And Nico is the name that has stuck. And I do use her name because it's in essays that I've written about her. I don't use my older daughter's name. So Nico really wants to teach my dad about gender identity and pronouns usage. And we talk about it before the trip. And I'm like, oh man, I don't think he would have had a lot of tolerance for this before he had dementia. And now, like, he's never going to grasp this. But I tell her I don't know that he'll be able to grasp this, but I don't want to discourage her fully. I just want to set expectations. So we go. And at this time in Nico's life, they are very, very into their gender journey and very into championing for LGBTQ folks. So I know part of this is advocacy. She knows her grandfather has historically been rather Trumpy, and she wants to make an impact. And it has made her less self-effacing and shy and more outspoken. And so I'm all for it. And in the course of this essay, you'll see we introduce together her name and pronouns, and then she tries to educate him about what pronouns are. And he's very confused at first about like, but isn't that Annika? And hopefully this comes through the text. The confusion is he thinks maybe I'm saying it's a different person, and that's confusing to him. But he finally kind of comes to terms with, oh, it's it's a it's not an identity. I'm sorry, it's not a new person. It's like a nickname. He asks, "Is it a nickname?" And I say, "Sort of. It's the name she prefers, or they prefer now." Sorry, she uses she/her pronouns again, so I may slip up a little bit here and there, um, and that helps him make sense of it, and it therefore gets committed to memory. And where in the first essay I talk a lot about the weather as the metaphor for this sort of storm of misogyny that can come when men are being sexist around us. In this one, I use the metaphor of rocks and sand, and that my father's memory is a sieve, and most things go through the sieve, but he still has the ability to hold on to the big rocks. And by the end of the visit, Nico has given up on gender education because they see that they see my grandfather. They see that this is not a person who cognitively can grasp this. And so they don't feel, I don't think that they felt defeated. I think they felt acknowledged, like this is what happens. But then a beautiful thing happens. We go to leave, and in leave taking, my father says, "Bye, Nico." The name sticks because he can make sense of it. And honestly, Nico does sound like a nickname for Annika. That helps, right? And the name has always stuck. That's what he calls her now. So um, she could have gotten angry. Um, she could have resisted, and she could have been like, "If you don't see me properly, I'm going to leave." But I was so grateful that the empathy took over, and she was able to really see him, and he was able to really see Nico, at least the name change. And that was just that was all he was going to be capable of. So a very different story, but with these very similar ties. So those are the stories, and the surprising contrast is that what struck me is that my kids are not inheriting one strategy from me or for the culture. There's not a singular strategy. They're choosing their own, and it's probably going to shift depending on circumstances. I am not saying like Nico was right to be empathetic with my dad, and my older daughter was wrong to not show empathy. Those were very different circumstances. It's hard to compare the two. But sometimes their response is going to be to draw a boundary, and sometimes their response will be to extend grace. And as a parent, I'm going to need to listen and at this age, maybe stop controlling the choice. You know, when they were 4 and 6, I could say, "We're going to go see grandpa." And, they couldn't stay home alone. They were coming with me. But now at almost 16 and 18, I think I need to explain. And, I haven't had a chance to talk with my eldest about this essay yet. I really want to, um, but I haven't yet. I haven't shown it to her. I'm not sure if I will, but I want to have a chance to talk to her because in talking with all of you this week, I think I'm coming around to she's 18 now, and she's going to get to decide whether or not she sees her grandfather moving forward. Um, I do want to make my point of view extra clear and underlined with her of I really think it's important to show up, however briefly. But if she doesn't share that value, um, I think that it's okay. And I no longer, if she feels that unsafe, even though part of me thinks she's being very melodramatic and just does, she'd rather be at the beach or wherever, as would I. But um, I don't think I should continue to dictate it because she is growing up, right? Let me check my notes here. Yeah, I grew up enduring and surviving my father. I say this in the essay because of the way my father was. I have always chosen men who were very different from him. Not to say some of them haven't been problematic, but not in the same ways. And as a result, their father, my ex-husband, is a delightfully, like, he's a wonderful person. He's kind. He's such a wonderful dad. He's always shown them support, and my children haven't, of course, has never sexualized them. Like, we just don't, they haven't grown up in that sort of environment. And so to be thrust into it, even in this very minor way, is jarring for them. And I think I've hit a point in parenting them that I'm no longer just teaching them how to navigate the world, but I'm letting them decide how they want to navigate it and what I can learn from them. And I'm going to come to the comments now because I think this is a good pausing point. And here, if you would like to insert your comments here, I would love to hear them. But some things to factor in are, would this be a different story if he didn't have dementia? If he were just the same kind of crappy person who I grew up with, would there be the same obligation to visit, or would I have the same sense of empathy? It's hard to say. Um, and what we're going to get to next in the conversation is, what if money is part of the equation? Because so often for women, as we are you ready to hop down? She's ready to hop down. Hold on. Say goodbye to Kira, everybody. She's so cute, isn't she? You're just a baby. You're just a baby. Let me put you back on your little rug here. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Here's hoping she stays quiet. Actually, I am going to give you another treat now. We're over halfway done. She knows the drill. Let's watch Kira take this. Okay. So, um, yeah, how does money play into all of this? Because so often with family and so often with women, it's part of the equation. And if I tell you that my father and his late wife are paying for a chunk of my older daughter's college education, does that change your answer? So I'm going to come read all the comments here. I'm going to scroll up to the top because there are fewer people in the chat today. It will be easier, I think, to do that. um, okay, I think this is where we left off. I write out loud Dana's page. Yes. Let me see. Where did we leave off? Laura says, I hear that, Dana. Pop is gone now, but I got sober and we made peace. Good. That is ultimately part of this question, right? Is like, we know our time with our parents is limited. For me, what I have concluded in my value system is, like, I need to feel okay with how I'm treating my father, and I feel like it's worth the cost of admission of spending these hours with him. I'm glad I never cut him off. There's a story I read yesterday on Substack. If we can get to it, I want to. It's by a new to me author. I think she's new. And it's called something like My Almost Incestuous Father. And it's a really jarring essay. And there were elements of it that really rang true for me because it's not about abuse, but it's abuse adjacent behavior. And that feeling sexualized behavior. It really resonated with me and what we're talking about right now. So if we can get to it, I will. But to me, she has cut her father off. To me, it never hit that level. And when he is gone, I will feel good about the fact that I did not abandon him, especially now that he has dementia. But that is my value, and that does not need to be my daughter's values. Shayla asks, were their reactions reflective of differences in their overall personalities? Yes, very much so. And I'm hoping you caught on to that from the essays. But if not, I will just answer. Ainsley is a far more dominant personality, where Nico leads with empathy a lot. Nico was laughing during the whole, like, "You look like a model. You're so beautiful," onslaught. And maybe it was nervous laughter and she was really uncomfortable, but I think she was fine. Um, I was worried that she might be upset that he and everyone who was coming up around kept being like, "Yeah, Ainsley," who I don't say my elder daughter's name. You're She looks like a model. Yeah, yeah, and they were saying nothing about Nico's looks and looking like a model. She is also adorable, but, is not, Ainsley is always, like, dressed and made up to the nines and, like, very stunning looking, where Nico doesn't really care about makeup and, looks a bit more childlike. So, it was very indicative of their personalities, though, for Nico to lead with empathy and just sort of be like, "Yeah, yeah," and for Ainsley to be like, "I don't wanna do this. This makes me uncomfortable." Um, Let me see here. A man I knew said women just want attention and try to be sexy and had the male gaze on them, so ignorant. Yeah, I mean, there are times when you wanna get a guy's attention, sure, but, um, yeah, these grandchildren surely did not want that attention from their grandfather. Um, let's see. But he called them Nico. He did. And still does. That's the part I love about that essay. If you look as from a writing perspective at the 2 essays, the first one, about the misogynistic grandfather is far more literary. It's a way more sophisticated essay. It took me a lot longer to write it. It took a lot more out of me here to write it. The gender one is a really light essay. I intentionally shared one first and then the other, both because they were thematically linked, but also because it's giving the reader a little bit of a break. They're not all going to suck you in and rip you apart like the misogynistic grandfather one did while I was writing it. So, oh, hi, Tarek. I see you joined while I was talking. Um, it's not an appropriate remark, but it might be partially related to the fact that he doesn't remember the passage of time. I assume you're talking about the "she has bosom now" comment, and I agree that it's not that my dad was overtly sexualizing my youngest on purpose. He was commenting that, "Wow, she's growing up," I think. But it's a gross way to say it, right? We know that. And it's consistent with a lifetime of behavior of saying inappropriate shit, and it's not okay. Mm. Karen says Nico seems like a very cool kid. She is. And I don't think she knows how cool she is yet. She's kind of figuring out her way, but she definitely is. Um, Linnea, it could be I had relatives that kept asking me if I'd gotten my period, and it was a big thing to celebrate, but it felt cringe to me. It is. It's nobody's business. My God. I mean, maybe your mom, if she's like, medically concerned or something, but like, that is nobody's business. Ew. Like, people, especially relatives, tend to think they have some form of ownership over girls' bodies, and they don't. Like, that is nobody's business, Lynette. That's just crazy. Joan says you can't wait for Crone Cocktail Hour. Yeah, it's the new moon this week. Um, oh, Karen, you said Tuesday night? I have it for Wednesday night. I actually, this week, some of you might have seen this. I sent out a mail yesterday with my calendar because I was like, oh, I want people to know when I'm doing things. And I put it for Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. my time. If that's not it, I need to move it. Wednesday is better for me. Tuesday, my kids are still here, and not that they couldn't handle their mom doing Crone Cocktail Hour, but I'd like to not do it when they're here. So we'll discuss. And if you're on Dana Dubois Writes, I changed the top of it a little so that if you're looking at the page on the right, the top article is called like My Essays and Lives This Week. So you can see when things are going live. And yes, the new moon is early on the 19th, but we want to do it right before the new moon. So I think Wednesday. Let's see. Yes. And Lynette, I didn't put that on the Daily Whatever Show calendar. That one is just for the Daily Whatever Show. But I did send out a Dana Dubois Writes I write out loud, like, everything that I'm doing this week, and the daily whatever shows are on there. Not Mondays because I'm not on Mondays, but the 4 that I am, on, and I'll be on with Marlon Weems this week, which is gonna be super fun, and, also the Crone Cocktail Hour, and one thing I didn't put on there yet, but that is coming possibly next Sunday or maybe the Sunday after is Kiki Walter and I are going to put together a live about The Memoirist and the new, quarterly that just came out. There's a published book, and one of my essays is in it, and we're gonna do a live and maybe bring on some other writers. So I will let you know when that happens as well. So, yeah, Linnea asks, isn't Chrome Cocktail Hour Wednesday, not Tuesday? I hope so. We'll figure it out. Let's see. I think it teaches resilience. I love your analogies. Thank you, TBD. I'm not sure which analogy that was, but thank you. That's very sweet. Um, mm, 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 mm. Let's see. Hi, Jane. I see that Jane joined. I'm so glad you could be here too. Lynette welcomed you. Let's see. Tea, honey, and a breath, please, Dana. Yeah, I have the tea. This one doesn't have honey in it. That's probably a mistake. Hmm. Okay. In fact, here, let me show you my schedule. This is this is where I'll be this week. And if it changes, I will change it there as well. I did it in part because I was like, I need to be able to see this. And of course, this doesn't have things like, oh, I have a dentist appointment that conflicts with my life. I'm going to need to move it. You don't need to know about my personal appointments, but those are my public appearances. And also when the essays will publish this week. Um, okay, let's see. Oh, Linnea, you had shared that already. Thank you. Let's see. Karen is going to write some new moon things before the Crone Chat. Do read them. Karen has expertise in astrology that I do not have, and she's really good at it. And when she writes about it, it's super informative. So you should absolutely read it. Um, okay. So, let me see here. Joe says, my ex-husband and mom died last year. I was so surprised they hit me with the same deep sadness. I'm so sorry to hear that, Joe. And that is a huge amount of loss in 1 year. Um, I hope that you, in addition to grief, aren't living with regret. And I think that's what a lot of this is about. Um, let's see. Responsibility gets assigned based on ability. I'm not sure what that's referring to, Lynette, but I would love to hear. Um, Let me see here. Lynette is recommending the podcast about grief from Michelle Obama's podcast. I haven't heard it, but I'm sure it's incredible because she is incredible. And Karen says, what surprised me most about grief was how it took such a physical toll. When my late husband died, my body went crazy. I couldn't keep food down. I lost tons of weight, couldn't sleep, couldn't breathe. It was shocking to me. Oh, I'm so sorry, Karen. And yeah, I mean, the emotional and the physical are so tied together. I'm not surprised to hear about that at all, that happened to you, Karen. And I'm glad you're in a more stable and happy place now, though I'm sure part of that grief is always with you. Um, You also say you love the names of both of my daughters. Thank you. I do too. Your daughters are beautiful and brilliant. They are, I think. I mean, I'm very biased, but I do think, oh, my essays are sophisticated and brilliant. Y'all. Um, okay. Your father, who is in dementia, has no filter. He doesn't. He didn't have a filter before dementia. I have plenty of comments. In fact, I posted a note earlier this weekend, where I was like, "What's the worst thing I just said a man has said to you?" Um, and I didn't post the worst thing my father has said because I'm not gonna share that, but, what flashed into my mind was when I called him just jubilant after our second when we had our amnio and ultrasound results back on the little baby that is now Nico. And I called and was like, "Everything is great, and it's a girl." And he said, "I was hoping for a boy." And I was like, "Of course you were, you dick." But that's my dad. He just has no filter. No filter at all. And, but the things that people wrote back were quite shocking, the worst things they have heard from men. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to read about those on this live, but boy, you should go find that note thread. It's like, phew, I might do a little recorded video about some of the responses, and it's a wonder, like, women can get out and move through the world sometimes for what we have to listen to. Um, TBD says, "I think I'd want my older daughter to visit if your dad is paying for her education. I don't know if that's wrong. I would push for it, but not force it. I love the way you hold the needs of all four of you with compassion and understanding. Thank you." It's both very real and very cringe that money plays a part in it, right? In part because without the money, it would be very hard to send my kids to college. It's also because, as shitty as my father can be and has been, and as shitty as my stepmom was, sorry, you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but she's not great. They did leave funds for each grandchild in their trust, their will, whatever, and to go, it specifically earmarked for college. And I'm very grateful for that. Um, and so it's not just the money, it's that it speaks to a kind of regard that he/they hold for their grandkids, even as he makes them very uncomfortable. And does that require ongoing acknowledgement? And my thought is yes. There's also the fact, and this isn't so much the case in my family, but it can be in many, that the living cognitively intact relations may have opinions about, oh, well, he left her money for blah, 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 and she's ignoring him. That doesn't reflect well, um, neither on my daughter nor on me, if anyone in my family were to choose to say things like that. We don't want to let the opinions of others make us make our choices. And also, those feelings are very real. That pressure is very real. I'm going to come read some comments because I really want to see that in here. What you all have to say about this. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom in case you're making comments in real time. Um, it's so wonderful to know that your kids have college funds available to them. I mean, some college funds. To be clear, do y'all know how much college costs these days? Like, one of the colleges that I had to tell my daughter no to. Well, I said, "No, unless you wanna take out a fuck ton of loans." Um, all in room and board and not all in even, just room, board, tuition, $93,000 a year. She got a big scholarship, 33 of it. It's a huge scholarship to a very prestigious school in her field, but I was like, "We can't cover the gap of $60,000 a year. We have a second kid." Like, and we both do okay. Like, we have jobs, we've been putting money away their whole lives, but, like, too rich for my blood, literally. That is, uh, it's outrageous. Yes, Karen said outrageous. So it is very good to have this help from family. But even with that help and what we've saved, we can't bridge that gap. That's a gap too big. To be fair, that school is in Manhattan, so that's part of it. But let me see here. I'm scrolling up. Uh, A doctor said as he slapped the new baby's ass and had her take her breath and laughed, "A girl, not a boy." Oh, like it was a disappointment. I wanted 2 girls, so to me, I was sure Nico was gonna be a boy, which made her whole gender thing funnier. I was like, "I can feel it. This is a boy, and I don't know what to do with a boy, and I really wanna raise sisters," because I never had a sister. I love my younger brother, but I always wanted a sister, and I wanted to raise sisters, and I got sisters. So I did not care that my dad was disappointed. I was yeah, that rolled off my back, but, I still heard it. Um, okay, I can't remember what I said, oh, wait. This is the problem with reading backwards. Sometimes things come in without context. Jane says, "The worst thing my dad said to me is, 'You are not a man.' I never forgot it and try every day to demonstrate that I'm equal." Yeah, dads say stupid fucking shit all the time, don't they? About especially with their daughters, the ones who see daughters and women as inferior. Like, I'm sorry, Jane. Yeah, you are not a man. Good. Obviously, you're not a man. Move on. Like, live your life. Go achieve and do and feel and all the things. But I'm sorry that your father raised you like that. Very similar to mine. um, Lynette says, I always wanted a sister too because I see my nieces. I love my brother, would not, or you would not have your nieces. That's true. My brother has a girl and then a boy, just like our family pattern was, but I have two girls. Um, I lent money to my daughter who has criticized me for borrowing money from my mom when I was younger. I felt great that I responded much differently than the scorn of my mom. Yeah. We are here to break generational trauma cycles, right? And in the end, with this one, what's so interesting to me is I'm still holding on to it was right to insist that she go. I will continue to push pretty hard that I think it's the right thing to do, but I do want it to be more of a conversation and I do want to give her the ability to say no. Um, I'm doing it in part to protect her soul that one day when we get a call that my father has passed and that there is a funeral to attend, I don't want her going feeling like I should have shown up for him. I, and maybe she never would. And maybe I'm putting too much of my own feelings on that, but that is how I feel. Um, I know I don't want to show up more than I have. He doesn't. He has not earned my time and worry like that. You can't force me to care more than I care, which is pretty limited. Sadly, I wish I'd had a father who was different than my father, but within his circumstances, in some ways, I just think he's modeled the best that he can, and he deserves what I'm giving him. And I think it's time to start letting my kids carve out what it is they have to give people, including their grandfather, who they barely know, really. So, yeah, I'm glad your dad and stepmom made a conscious decision to provide some funding for your kids' college despite shitty behavior. Yeah, I mean, my family of origin is Jewish. I'm not practicing, but there is definitely an instilled belief in education and working hard and being professional and doing the right thing. And I think that at least in my family on both sides, there does seem to be a wanting to leave a financial legacy behind. And so it checks that they would want to do this, and I'm grateful for it. Um, an answer could have been girls don't need to go to college, right? It wasn't. So there was good there. That is what I will say. Um, Joe, let's see. Oh, whoops. How many women here? My light is blocking the screen. How many women here learned how to skip quickly to avoid butt pinching? Yeah, and Lynette responds, I sincerely hope that is a thing of the past, but yes, used to wear long shirts, I think, for some of those behaviors. Yeah, I it's all blurry because it's so long ago. What I remember most, I don't remember butt pinching, but I do remember feeling uncomfortable in my body around my dad. And I do remember one thing I remember, because so my dad and I are built sort of similarly in that I don't have much of a defined waistline. He's very obese. I'm a little obese maybe, but I carry weight in my middle like he does. And so I remember when I would see him and I would give him a hug that he would kind of grab me here and sort of feel me. And I hated it, but it was, and he would sort of give a like a, oh, good, or you're gaining weight. Like I could feel the response to it. And I thought I was obligated to hug him until I got a bit older. I was probably in college by the time, or maybe even older by the time I figured out how to kind of side hug and duck back. Because I was like, I don't want him doing that to me anymore. Um, so it wasn't sexual abuse. I don't want to call it that. It wasn't incestuous. Oh, speaking of which, I want to see if I can find that article. My nearly incestuous father, Substack. Because it's called An Almost Incestuous Father. Um, This is a hard read. It's not for everybody. Um, this is weird. Why is it? Substack kind of has that interstitial page where it pops up. It's doing that to me. So, anyways, you can still see it here. Um, I thought this was a really interesting read. It's dancing around this idea of like her father clearly perceived. They use they them pronouns now. The author, sorry, but at this point they're 13 and or younger even in some parts, and they are perceiving how their father is perceiving them as sexual and how that came with harm. Um, I think it was more adjacent to that, my lived experience, and that's why my kids are never alone with their grandfather, never have been. So, yeah. Um, yeah, that damn extra page count, I don't quite know what that is, and I can't in this one, every time I'm trying to click in, maybe because it's their only story, I don't know, I can't click in a level deeper, so it's that ugly URL, but in any case, it was oh, Laura, yours was real, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, and the fact that you came to peace with your dad after that, speaks volumes about your ability to forgive, and I hope heal. Um, yeah, I have said this before, and I will repeat it my whole life, that some of the best and bravest and strongest women I know have the shittiest dads. That's just true. Not all. I know plenty of amazing women who had great dads, but there's an awful lot of us who did not, who kind of drew the short end of the stick on the father card, and have made our way into the world. So, um, it's kind of crazy like that. Excuse me. We are coming up on the top of the hour. Mm. The Epstein, Parenting Teens in the Era of Epstein series, excuse me, continues with my 2 essays this week. I've also made the decision, I've been posting on Tuesdays and Fridays, my 2 essays, and I'm moving it to Tuesdays and Thursdays because I feel like the Friday essay just kind of gets lost. So I will post essays on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I am still going live on Wednesdays and Saturdays, at least for now. I'm trying to make it at times so that when I return to my day job, which I'm on a short leave from, that I will be able to keep this up. So I can't do it midday during the week, sadly. As great a time as that is, because I have the house to myself, I won't be able to keep doing that. So Tuesday and Thursday, you will see new essays from me. The one I'm sharing on Tuesday is the most popular essay I've written, well, one of 2, but it's the one that's caused the most um, comments and engagement, both on Substack and on Medium in the past. And it's called Middle-Aged Men Keep Ogling My 16-Year-Old. Some of you have probably seen it already because it did kind of make the rounds on Substack. But I want to share it here with I Write Out Loud and talk about it because it is supremely in this wheelhouse of how to parent teen daughters through wanting to express themselves and be seen and be fashionable, and also to try to protect them, even though you can't, all the while seeing the truths of the world. One interesting part of this story is that it originally published right after Trump was elected the second time in November of 2024. So I already knew the shift was coming, but it wasn't here yet. The whole Epstein thing and everything that we've seen happen. So I think that's going to be some really interesting conversation. And the second essay is one that's more about body issues and family of origin stories. And it's called From Baby Fat to Brandy Melville. It's also an older essay. And I think we can't have this conversation without talking about body image and what we inherit from our family of origin and how it helps harm or protect us as we move into young adulthood. And what's interesting is I wrote that essay before the super huge rise of Ozempic, and the fact that I wrote it at a time where there was a lot of body positivity language in the culture. There were fat, famous people like Lizzo, boldly showing their bodies and being like, I'm sexy as fuck and this is who I am. An awful lot of these stars are now slimming down. since the story was written. So I think with both of these, there's going to be conversation about how things have moved since then, and then potentially future essays. So yeah, I'm giving a little sneak peek of what's to come. I do have a brand new essay. I'm going to share it the week after because it's not on this theme, and also because I I pitched it to 3 really big publications because um, I think it's a really good essay. I found out late last night that Medium declined to boost it, as they have been doing lately to my stories that are a bit more daring, and it makes me angry because a boosted story on Medium can like bring in some money, and a non-boosted story on Medium, I refuse to share anything non-boosted with them because it doesn't get seen, it doesn't get read, doesn't make money. I just don't see the point in kind of diluting my brand unless it's boosted. So I have my fingers crossed. I pitched Huffington Post and Slate and The Cut. I pitched really big ones with the story. So we'll see what happens. I haven't pitched a story in well over a year since I came to Substack. In 2024, my goal was to get published nationally. I've met the goal. I've been in Today. I've been in Business Insider, a few other publications. But that goal has quieted. So with this one, I was like, I'm going to try again and I'm going to aim a little higher. So, um, when does Mercury come out of retrograde, Karen? I probably shouldn't have done it while Mercury was still in retrograde. Oh, I love all the hugs in the chat. um, Friday, it comes out of retrograde. Well, I probably should have waited to pitch, but perhaps this essay is so good it'll break through. If it is not, if I don't hear back this week, I'm just going to assume I won't hear back. It's really hard because they don't respond if they don't want it most of the time when you pitch. And they usually won't take it if it's already been published. So you have to just sort of sit on it and wait. I'm going to give this, it'll be almost 2 full weeks. So if they don't get back in 2 weeks, it's their loss, man. And I will share it here the following week because it will kickstart a really good, this one is a cultural conversation around dating, and some trends that I have noticed around the usage of anxious versus avoidant attachment. And I think I think I've coined a new term that I'm hoping will catch fire. Um, all of that said, you can use Mercury retrograde to return to previous behaviors. We're gonna have to talk about that on the Crone Cocktail Hour because I don't know what that means, Karen. But let's talk about it. Um, we are past the top of the hour. I think the Sunday Salon is drawing to a close. I so appreciate you all being here. As always, this is a blast, and you are the people who are keeping this endeavor going. I'm so grateful to all of you. I know times are tough, so the fact that you are financially supporting I Write Out Loud and all of my endeavors that are related, I can't even tell you how much it means to me. So thank you. Thank you. I hope you all have wonderful weeks. I'm excited to share more stories with you, and I hope to see you in more lives. So, yes, love you all. Bye.